Today is Sunday, April 19th. It has been a little bit over a month since the start of the quarantine. We are finally starting to see the effects of long-term isolation and quarantining. And what I can tell you is that a lot of us are starting to ask really hard questions. People around the country are starting to protest the quarantine. A lot of us have trusted the media and the government to supply the data, the science, the information that what we are doing is worthwhile. And I have been asking those questions since the beginning. Look at my previous videos where I've been saying that is this quarantine even worth the effect of the virus? Don't get me wrong. I have been abiding by the quarantine rules as closely as I can. I barely leave the house. I'm leaving mostly to walk my dog and go and get supplies from the grocery store maybe once or twice a week. I'm doing what I can because I've trusted in our government and trusted in our media. But at this point, we have to be asking some serious questions. Because as we look into the future, we're starting to see the timetable get extended out and out. No longer is it May 1st. 2 weeks into April, almost 3, and now we're talking about the beginning of June as a possible reopening date. Our economy is collapsing. And I don't know what our economy is going to look like when we get back to it. The fact is that when we enter a store, there's a line out the door, 6 feet separated with a 1 in, 1 out rule. People are being forced to wear masks. Masks that do very little to prevent viruses. Some people are just wearing simple pieces of cloth or their scarf around their face, which is fine during now in this early cold spring months. But what's going to happen when it becomes summer and those things become too hot to wear? Looking into the future, I don't know as a bartender if bartending is going to be coming back. If the 6 feet social distancing rule is going to continue on, what is bartending even going to look like? There is not 6 feet of distance at a bar. Unless you have, 2 people at a bar? It's crazy. It's madness. Tables will be separated by 6 feet. You're going to reduce the capacity of restaurants, which are already running on super thin margins, into 40% of what that capacity should be at. Entire industries are going to be forever changed by what we are trying to do to prevent how many cases of coronavirus. As of April 13th, the United States has 331 million people in it. A little bit over. We only have 547,000 cases, which is 0.17% of the population. And we only have 21,000 deaths, which is 0.0065%. Now, I'm not saying every one of those deaths is not a tragedy. What I am saying is that the bigger tragedy is that when we come out of this, our entire society will have changed. Our entire economy will have transformed into something lesser than what it was beforehand, and we are allowing tyranny to reign supreme. Why are we allowing this to happen? We are allowing it as Americans. I remember hearing a story one time. It was about the domestication of pigs, how wild boars were initially domesticated. Simply, what somebody would do was they would lay out a little bowl of food and the pig would come over and eat. Maybe a week or two goes by and this pig now knows where to go to get the food. Eventually, this farmer would then build a wall, a large wall, right in front of him, just a single wall, and put the bowl right next to it. The pig was skittish at first because it didn't notice this wall, but then eventually got used to it. Kept coming back and back, brought all of its friends. Then the farmer simply built a second wall. Again, the pig was skittish. Then he built a third. And it wasn't until he built the fourth that the pig eventually realized that it enjoyed the walls. The walls were a sense of security. They were a sense of peace. That the pig knew there was going to be food there. That even though his movements were restricted, he was still provided for. What the pig never realized is the farmer never had good intentions of building those walls and providing that food. It was only to fatten that pig up to take it to slaughter. We have to look at our situation with open eyes. Because I think, like most people, I don't really have an understanding of what freedom is or what rights is, because I grew up with them. Rights are an abstract idea. Freedom is an abstract idea. We talk about them as some sort of ideological football point that we throw around, but we don't really actually know what it means because we've not had it. We need to be taking into consideration that what is going on is a planned pandemic, that maybe the deaths are not what they're supposed to be. And what I mean by that is, again, every single one is a tragedy, but the numbers do not support the hysteria. The number of deaths from a bunch of other causes is significantly higher. Yet at no point in history has our government taken the steps it has now to transform society. When I do go out to stores to purchase what I need, people have changed. We have all changed. Nobody wants to talk. There is no small talk. Small talk is looked as a threat. Walking too close is a threat. Being in a store with too many people is a threat. We are now afraid of each other. The only thing we trust in is the government and its ability to provide us the money we need to sustain ourselves. They are now needing to pass a new stimulus package that is going to provide $2,000 per person per month. Maybe that $2,000 is that bowl of food for that pig. Maybe these masks are the very first wall. Maybe the 6 feet distancing rule is the second wall. Maybe only allowing one person in at a time as one person leaves out of a store is a third wall. Who knows what the fourth wall will be? Maybe that fourth wall will be absolute martial law. Maybe it'll come in the form of vaccination, one that we all think will help cure us or save us from this imminent threat to our health, but is actually designed for much more nefarious means. So what do we do? What can we individually do? I've talked about self-improvement. I've talked about the path that I've been leading, and hopefully that you've thought about yourself leading. But what we need to do is to stand up for what is right. This quarantine is not about your health. It is not about saving us from the danger of an invisible enemy. What it is about is transforming our society into one that is more easily controllable, one that is more easily malleable. Why would they want more control? Because more control has always been their end goal. You don't understand how we are as individuals more powerful than any organization of government. We don't understand that as individuals, we can come together and stand up for what is right and what we believe in. I know you are afraid. I know you're scared and you're trusting that all these people are doing things for the right reasons. But at this point, we need to be asking a lot harder questions. And we need to be looking deeper into ourselves about what it means to be free, what it means to have freedom, and what that fear that we have that the media is installing in us is actually doing for us. To all of you who watch this video and think I'm crazy, that we should be shut down for not months but years, you can stay shut down. You can continue to self-quarantine. You can stay inside. If you are afraid of death from an invisible virus that will come to you in the middle of the night through someone coughing on you, you can stay inside for the rest of your life, and that is not going to affect you or anyone else. But for those of us who are unafraid, for those of us who understand that death is only on God's terms, then we need to reopen our economy. We need to reopen our businesses as soon as possible. We need to see our families. Nobody wants to talk about the devastation that this quarantine has had on us. It's uncomfortable. It makes us feel weak in some sense or another. Nobody wants to admit that being isolated, not being able to see your family or talk to friends or hang out or hug people doesn't produce some sort of mental anguish that we didn't know existed. Fear, worry, anguish, these are the tools of the devil. And these are the tools that evil people use to control good people. And I think that we need to re-examine what direction we're heading into. I hope this message finds you well. I hope that you are happy. I hope that you are safe. I hope you are healthy. But most of all, I hope that you are smart enough, intelligent enough, strong enough to re-examine what it is that you stand for. And I really hope that we don't one day wake up a few weeks into the future and look back at this time and wish we have the freedom that we have today. Thank you.